Let's make some flawless speed house. Let's first set the tempo to somewhat around 150 BPM, and start by adding some kicks. And some claps. As for the hi-hats, arrange them on the channel rack like this. Then let's add some swing. Let's add some closed hi-hats. And some percussion. To make this even groovier, you can use some additional loops, but don't overcrowd it. Let's move on to the bass. Speed house has a lot of similarities with bass house, so let's load up a bass house bass like this, and make a bass line following the root note of the track. Let's sidechain this using a limiter. And EQ to take off the highs. Use a long screechy lead to make the main EAD melody. I'll sidechain this. Add some EQ. Some more EQ. Some saturation. And some multi-band compression. Let's add some crashes. And some vocals. I'll stretch this to fit it to the tempo. And chop it up to get some isolated phrases. Let's process this by adding some distortion. And some reverb. Let's loop this part for another 12 bars, and before moving on to the second half, let's make a fill using some drum fills. A sub drop. And a riser. Moving on to the second half of the drop, let's add the full vocals and some rides. Let's change the lead pattern to make this interesting. And add a classic UK bass to accompany the main bass. I'll sidechain this. Guys, I'll isolate the first kick at the second half like this. And let's add some tonal shots as ear candy. Since the drop is now done, let's move on to the intro and the build-up. Let's add our drums, and the UK bass for 8 bars, and add transition using the fill we made earlier. Here I want to completely change the vibe of the track, so I'll add some piano chords using direct wave. I'll EQ this to take off the lows and add some highs. And some saturation. I'll use Edison to record the first chord. And reverse it to make the transition feel more alive. Then we need a gritty reese bass. After 8 bars, let's add some of our drums and the full vocals. And let's add a dreamy synth line to this. Let's transition this to the build-up by adding the crashes and an impact. At the build-up, I'll use the vocal as a build-up element by chopping it up. And let's create a pitch automation to this. Then let's add some build-up drums. And some risers. Let's add our drum fill, and since the drop and the intro are so different, I'll add this switch vocal sample to spice things up. Here's a quick tip to make your drops feel bigger. Load up an EQ to your master channel, and create a high-pass automation like this during the build-up. Let's copy the entire track, and paste it behind the drop. Feel free to change the elements to make this differentiate from the first half of the song. I'll add the piano and the synth at the second half of the second drop, and sidechain them to the kick. I'll also make a pretty simple outro section real quick. So guys, our track is now done. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel, and let's see our final result.
Back up and down. Drugs.